Did you know the Wrestling Observer Match of the Year award is not just picked by Dave Meltzer? No, it is voted on by the readership. So if it's wrong, that means we got it wrong. Or, well, y'all did. I ain't vote this go-round. Something I want to know every year is who got Match of the Year, usually so I can go back and watch it if I missed it. Recently, doing my due diligence on other lists, I noticed something peculiar. Certain matches over the years have been awarded Match of the Year by the readers of the Observer, but oddly had not been rated 5 stars by Big Daddy Dave in his match rating system. I'm just a fan, but I thought 5 stars meant Match of the Year candidate, and that's what you could pick from. And oh, how wrong I was. It turns out this has happened several times. And lucky for you, I compiled a list. I'm Walt, the most gangster nerd on YouTube, and these are 10 Wrestling Observer Match of the Year award winners that weren't 5-star matches. The 1984 Independence Day Star Wars Freebirds vs. Von Erich's 6-man tag. Every Southern wrestling fan loves this rivalry. The squeaky clean good guy Von Erichs and the rebellious bad guy Freebirds. Growing off of the rivalry between Kerry Von Erich and Ric Flair when Kerry refused to cheat against Ric after Michael Hayes laid him out. Flair would later knock Kerry into Hayes, who instinctively assumed he was being attacked. Terry Gordy then smashed Kerry, whiffed the door to the cage, and boom, we're off to the races. Classic allies turn adversaries. This rivalry got us the Freebirds rule. That's something you know now. You're welcome. We also got several awesome matches, some title changes, but more importantly, we got that awesome July 4th Independence Day Star Wars match. It is a solid 6-man tag, or trios, if that's your thing. That action is incredible, physical, and the storytelling in the ring cannot be beat. Now, the match was awarded 4 3/4 stars from the Observer, which is definitely impressive, but also beat out Stan Hansen and Bruiser Brody versus Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. in All Japan. 1987's WrestleMania 3, Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage. How this match wasn't 5 stars, I will never understand. That aside, watching this match with today's expectations, it definitely still stands up. As it should, as this match was for the Intercontinental Championship, and this was back in the day when the IC definitely meant you were the best worker. The build-up was incredible in the sense of less is more. Steamboat would challenge Savage on WWF Superstars a few months beforehand. Savage would savagely attack Steamboat outside the ring, resulting in a countout. Savage would then carry on this beating in the ring with a ring bell. The Dragon would flail around on the ring, holding his throat as he was now injured. And that was it. Steamboat would be out until Mania that year. It just turned out that Mania was going to be Mania 3, and it was going to be a really big deal. And that's being subtle. Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage would go on to totally steal the show. A 20-minute match with so much action, the entire contest is a roller coaster of emotions, leading up to an incredible finish. Seeing the ref knocked out, Savage nails the elbow, no one to count. Savage in frustration gets the ring bell and goes to climb the ropes. Oh no, not that again. But George the Animal Steel, who came to the ring with Steamboat, interferes, trying to stop Savage. Savage puts him down. Steel comes back and pushes Savage off the top, just out of sight of the ref. Savage tries to keep control, but Ricky rolls him up. 1, 2, 3, history made. Something that makes this match even better, listen to Jesse Ventura doing the commentary. It's epic. This match got 4.5 stars from Diamond Dave, but managed to beat out Ric Flair versus Barry Windham and 2 War Games matches from that year. Awesome. 1988's Clash of the Champions, Sting versus Ric Flair. This is considered by many to be the match that put Sting on course to become the franchise player for WCW and launched his historic career. There's actually a lot going on during this point in time. 1988 seen Jim Crockett Promotions and the NWA finally fire back at the WWF after Vince had been straight taking their lunch, signing away talent and launching the Survivor Series pay-per-view in direct competition with Starrcade, the Big Daddy show for Crockett and the NWA as a whole. Crockett in response to this would fire back, putting Clash of Champions on free TV directly against WrestleMania 4 on pay-per-view. I'm sure there was no pressure on Sting at all. Now, just like about every other match of the year, it is a banger and still holds up to today. Sting's charismatic combination of bodybuilder and 80s cartoon character good guy versus the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair, was the perfect setup. Sting seems to have it in the bag several times. Having Flair's number, Flair begging for mercy is still epic, but you gotta remember who Sting is in the ring with. Ric Flair. He's one of the greatest for a reason. He manages to take the match all the way to a time limit draw, while in the Scorpion Deathlock. Now, there are some wrestling fans out there that like to refer to this as a dusty finish, and there's some validity there, especially considering if fans watched Mania 4, they actually got to see Macho Man Randy Savage become World Heavyweight Champion. Still, a great match with Uncle Dave rating it 4 3/4 stars, and this match actually beat out All Japan Tag League's match between Tenryu and Kawada versus Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy, which is incredible. 1991's Steiner Brothers versus Hiroshi Hase and Kensuke Suzuki. I was wondering when Japan would show up on this list. Here in America, the Steiner brothers are legendary, sometimes for their in-ring awesomeness, and sometimes for unforgettable antics. In 1991, the Masters of the Suplex, who were also the WCW Tag Champs, made their way over to New Japan to face Hiroshi Hase and Kensuke Sasaki, the current IWGP Tag Champions, in a title versus titles match. After the bell, these two teams proceeded to do some solid wrestling and slamming each other all over the ring. Now, if you're like me and you enjoy a good technical showing or a hoss fight, you're in luck, because this match is both. Seeing two human beef mountains like Scott Steiner and Kensuke Sasaki in the ring at the same time, also seeing Rick Steiner and Hiroshi Hase, two seasoned vets, take things to the next level, it makes for an excellent experience. Diamond Dave rated the match 4 stars, probably because it wasn't too long. Luckily, us fans know what we're looking for in a good tag match. 2000's Atlantis versus Volano 3. Alright, CMLL showing up on the list. What wrestling fan does not love lucha? In Mexico, the mask is a big deal, and a mask versus mask match, or lucha de acuestas, is an even bigger deal, as the winner takes the mask of the loser and usually gets pushed for a while, and the loser is publicly unmasked and usually slides down the card. Knowing this is what's on the line heightens any level of drama to any match. Now with this bout, Volano 3, a 3-decade-long veteran of the game who was undefeated in Acuestas matches, sporting an impressive 58-0 record and a very evil pink mask, would square off against Atlantis. A superhero-esque character, he is, and you will love this, a supposed warrior from the Lost City. And you can believe that, because his mask has 2 fish on it. He's something like John Cena or Hulk Hogan during their prime years, but Rey Mysterio sized. And now that we have a backdrop, this match is considered the most important Acuestas match of all time. You can find it on YouTube, and I encourage you to watch it. Spoilers, Atlantis wins, but only after Volano 3 nearly beats his mask off of Atlantis' head, leaving the man busted open. But after all of that, Atlantis manages to counter an attack from Volano and lift him into the Atlantida submission for the victory. The finish is so good, even the ref takes a bump. Awesome. 2001's Kaiji Muto vs. Genichiro Tenryu. You know, if it has Kaiji Muto involved, it's a banger, and this one most definitely is. All Japan in the early 2000s was still some of the best wrestling in the world, and when the All Japan Triple Crown was on the line, that match was going to be that much better. At the time, the Pro Wrestling Noah departures had just taken place. All Japan had lost the vast majority of its best wrestlers, and All Japan, in either a stroke of genius or sheer desperation, brought back a former exile in Genichiro Tenryu, a man many did not think would ever be back in All Japan. But not only had he returned, he had climbed the mountain and won the Triple Crown. This would happen during that legendary crossover between New Japan and All Japan in the early 2000s. Now, at the same time as all that, Muto was in the middle of his second run, which was generating massive praise, as he was like a new man. Think like Shawn Michaels' second run, but Japanese and bald. Along with that, he would be leading the charge in an invasion angle that seen New Japan invade All Japan. This match was awarded 4.5 stars from $100 Dave, and that's fair. This match went just over 20 minutes and was awesome, with an awesome finish. Not one, but two shining wizards from Muto to Tenryu, which wasn't enough. Then Muto goes to the top, nails a moonsault into a pinning combination. 1, 2, 3, your new Triple Crown champion. This match was incredible. 2002, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus Edge and Rey Mysterio. Okay, so I really try not to talk about Chris Benoit on my channel. That being said, I like to accurately represent history. I don't have to sing a song about it. In 2002, SmackDown was in the process of crowning its first tag team champions. This meant a tournament. The finals would consist of Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. The latter two had been in a pretty vicious feud up until Stephanie McMahon, the SmackDown GM at the time, put them together as a tag team because she wanted the best tag team division ever, and if the two of them attacked each other, they'd be suspended. This all led up to the final match at No Mercy, and it was epic. You got four of the greatest of all time. You get the fine-tuned technical mastery of Benoit and Angle, with the high-flying antics of Rey Mysterio and the hard-hitting action of Edge. Everything you can want is in this match, with near falls that each feel like the end of the match, only for a breakup when you don't expect it. Finish is especially crazy. Kurt counters Edge into the ankle lock. Edge manages a reversal into his own ankle lock. Kurt reverses back into his ankle lock, and Edge has to tap. Thus, we get the inaugural SmackDown Tag Team Champions. This match didn't get 5 stars, which is beyond wild, but it did get 4 3/4. At least us fans know what was up. 2008's Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. This is the best version of Chris Jericho, with the short hair and the suit. And this match happens during one of the best runs for Shawn in his entire career. The story behind the match is some of the best storytelling in wrestling history. Jericho was mad at Shawn because he faked an injury in his match against Batista that Jericho was the special ref for. After a while, Chris would manage to get Shawn to admit to this, and it just went up Jericho's ass sideways. Later, on an episode of Jericho's highlight reel, he would smash Shawn into a monitor. Because of this, Shawn Michaels would suffer an eye injury that would make him kayfabe retire, and Jericho really wasn't going to buy that this time. When Shawn and Chris come face to face, Shawn told Chris he would never be as good as him. Jericho went for the sucker punch but nailed Shawn's wife, Canadian Monster. Chris after this would go on to win the World Championship, and Shawn would come looking for revenge and to take the title from Chris. And oh my god, I want to tell you about the match. With two of the greatest performers of all time in the ring together, this is bound to be a classic. Add some ladders and we got the making of something unforgettable. Seeing some crazy spots, like both men going through the announce table, Chris Jericho going for the lion salt but getting the ladder, and of course the finish. Lance Cade comes down and tries to stop Shawn from climbing the ladder. Do you remember Lance Cade? I sure as didn't, until I was doing the notes for this video. He got super kicked. Thanks for coming. Both Chris and Shawn are at the top of the ladder. They both got the belt until Chris is able to headbutt Shawn off the ladder, retaining his title. If you haven't seen this match, shame on you. 2009 and 2010, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, both years. Okay, full disclaimer, I was never really a big Shawn Michaels fan, so don't think I'm treating him special with technically 3 spots in a row on this list. But yes, Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleManias 25 and 26, both garnering 4 3/4 stars from Dollar Dave, y'all. Both matches are must-sees for any wrestling fan. Off top, you already know who won both of them, since it's not Undertaker versus Brock or Undertaker versus Roman. Still, it's not like we weren't in suspense the entire time, especially at Mania 26, career versus streak, knowing if Shawn lost, it meant his retirement. Sadly, at Mania 26, that's what came to pass. This would be the final match for Shawn Michaels, and he would retire never to wrestle again. He never wrestled again. This never happened. And finally, 2014's AJ Styles versus Minoru Suzuki. New Japan, what a surprise. It's like Dave really likes them a lot. Oh wait, We picked it. Moving on. The G1 Climax is probably the best tournament and probably the most important tournament in all of professional wrestling. The matches we get to see, the drama that unfolds, it is absolutely awesome. And the 2014 G1 is no exception. This match had a lot to unpack before it even started. AJ Styles, considered one of, if not the best wrestler in the world at the time, and Minoru Suzuki, the Murder Grandpa, a legitimately dangerous and unbelievably tough submission master. Both men were leaders of vicious stables in the Bullet Club and Suzuki Goon, and both men were absolute villains. This match started off with a slap from Suzuki, because of course it did. Both men put on an excellent match. Awesome ring psychology with Suzuki attacking and working Styles' right arm. At one point in the match, the ref gets taken out, and here comes Taka Michinoku. I bet you didn't expect to hear about him on this list. Then, here comes the Good Brothers and Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr. with a brawl to the outside. This match beats and bumps along with excitement all the way up to the finish. They get on their feet, and then Suzuki and AJ exchange some really good stiff strikes back and forth until AJ lands the Pele kick, gets another Styles clash, boom for the win. This match would receive 4 3/4 stars from the Observer. Luckily, us wrestling fans, we knew better. That doesn't mean I'm not waiting for next year's Wrestling Observer Awards all the same. And that was the list. Now, we both know I was right. Period. But if you want to argue with me, do it in the comments. I'm Walt, the most gangster nerd on YouTube, and I'll be seeing you soon enough.